Everybody's looking for a hero. I am not a hero.
That was a part. I played the part. I'm not that man.
Hands down, he was Superman from day one.
I realized that if I could pull off this part, it would change my life.
John Houseman said, Mr. Reeve, it is very important you become a serious classical actor. Unless, of course, they offer you a load of money to do something else.
He convinced me when I first met him that he would fly.
Doing things with my dad, it was all about activity and action. Riding bikes, playing soccer, skiing.
Carpe diem, Al!
My dad was very competitive, and he didn't necessarily slow down.
We said goodbye, and he gave this wave. That was the last time I saw him on his feet.
Mr. Reeve currently has no movement or spontaneous respiration.
Superman, crazy. Just that simple little thing over the horse.
I'd ruined my life and everybody else's. I won't be able to ski, sail, throw a ball to Will. Won't be able to make love to Dana. Maybe we should let me go.
She came flying in, and she just yelled, "I love you. I love you."
And then she said the words that saved my life. You're still you, and I love you.
He and Robin were such good friends because they could match each other.
Robin also had struggles that he dealt with his whole life, and I think that they both were aware of darkness.
Brother Chris is fighting like crazy. When you find people who fight like that but still keep their humanity, that gives you great hope.
That is tough because I can feel him, but he can't feel me.
It must have been hell for my mom, too, knowing what she had lost.
I felt I needed to do something, not just for myself, but for everyone else in the same condition.
The fact that Superman was in a wheelchair and was willing to go public with it was huge.
Help is on the way.
The Christopher and Dana Reeve Paralysis Act.
People are literally walking because of him.
What is a hero? My answer was that a hero is someone who commits a courageous action without considering the consequences. Now my definition is completely different. I think a hero is an ordinary individual who finds the strength to persevere and endure in spite of overwhelming obstacles. I wouldn't have missed this for the world.
Hello and welcome to the Periodic Table of Awesome. My name is Dion and I'm joined tonight by Quinny and Jill. And excuse me while I just go and grab my tissues over to the side there.
Yeah.
Have a little cry off to the side.
Just like, oh man, straight into it. Ouch.
Yeah, like, you know. Yeah, well, what are we talking about tonight? Yeah, I'm not going to do this. What are we doing? We're doing Super/Man.
Yes.
The Christopher Reeve story.
Indeed.
Indeed.
So
I'll let you all give you all a minute.
Going to talk about this.
Yeah. I'm just going to let you all collect yourselves for a second there.
Yeah.
I think the people that we'll be talking about is me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was going to say, when are we going to put our hand up to it and say,
Jill,
where we're at?
Just have to duck off for about 20 minutes. Can you just take over while Quinny and I have a little bit of a cheery in the corner? And that's only because Quinny and I still haven't seen the film.
Yeah.
Yes,
So you're there.
we decided to do this at the start of the month, and
Yep.
I put in the effort.
Yep.
And life got away from everybody else.
Yeah. And by the time that we were like, oh shit, we're going to make sure that that's on, it was only screening in the middle of the day. I was like, motherfuckers.
It was a very limited release in, I'd say, like the more bespoke cinemas.
Mm-hmm.
So unfortunately, a little bit hard to get to this one.
The funny thing is, I'm pretty sure there's a whole bunch of empty cinemas where like they were going to be running Joker 2. But
I mean, yeah. Look,
let's replace it with the good one, the good DC story.
I find it like, yes, I am remiss, and I will chastise myself and say I wanted to see this film, and I just didn't make enough effort. Everyone's busy, but that's no problem. I should have done better, and I hope I can do better, and I will do better next time. Sorry, Jill. Quinny, you're on the same boat as me, so
yeah,
no love for you. Just pushing you to the side.
Down, left, right, and center.
Yeah, I felt real bad about it because the thing is, I'm actually super excited to watch the film because I've always had a thing with the Christopher Reeve story, like because he does not a thing for Christopher Reeve. I've always I think he's a great actor, but also like seeing his comeback or seeing how he essentially approached life was quite astonishing. And so I'm very excited to watch the film. I'm also quite emotional now, even without having watched it, which makes me wonder what the hell's going to happen when I finally do see it.
Well, good news, Quinny, in the chat. Apparently, Jill has been elected glorious leader. So now it's Jill's periodic table of awesome with guest hosts Dion and Quinny occasionally if they do the homework. But the good news is I get to also just not have to do any of the stream stuff now. So amazing! I take it away, Jill.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's great. Yes.
I don't know. Can we give a synopsis for this? It's kind of like a docu-biography kind of.
Yeah, better give a synopsis because I've got the Superman theme queued up and ready to go.
Okay.
But I'm gonna hand that one over to Quinny. But I would like you to do it.
Am I doing it as Marlon Brando?
No, you're doing it as Miss Tessmacher. Yeah, not even going to give you an easy one.
I wasn't prepared for this.
You weren't prepared for Miss Tessmacher? Miss Tessmacher!
I didn't do the homework for Miss Tessmacher. I didn't do the homework for this movie. I'm very sad.
Yes. Oh, Jill of the House Mudeng. Yes, that's correct.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love the idea that Jill of House Mudeng is moving across the countryside with her army of baby pygmy
pygmy warlocks. That's amazing.
I was going to say walruses, but no, that's even weirder. Okay,
oh, dear.
I do have a synopsis. I cannot remember what Miss Tessmacher sounds like.
That's okay.
Actor Christopher Reeve. No, I'm not going to. Sorry, it feels terrible to do this as fucking Marlon Brando or whatever. Actor Christopher Reeve rises to stardom when he lands the role of Superman in the 1970s. When a horse riding accident leaves him paralyzed in 1995, Reeve spends the rest of his life searching for a cure for spinal cord injuries. That's pretty much it.
Yes, it is pretty much it. So yeah, the documentary starts because I mean, who doesn't know that Christopher Reeve suffered a massive spinal cord injury at the hands of a horse riding accident? So they don't really go, oh, well, we're going to start from the beginning and work our way up. They're just straight into the middle. They're like, yes.
Wait, this is a superhero story-ish, and it doesn't include an origin story?
It does, but if you shut up and let me keep talking.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dion, this is one of those ones where we just have to shut up now.
Just getting it back in my box.
So they do start the documentary of okay, so here's the life of a man who is living with a spinal cord injury. And then it takes you to and fro through his life and career to explain how we get to this point. So they do talk about the original Superman films. I don't think I even knew that he did 4 Superman films.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of diminishing quality all the way.
Yeah, and they did touch on that. And then also his career that followed that unfortunately did not get critical success. They were like, oh, I'm sorry, he's a superhero and that's it. Nobody really bought any of his other roles, which is really sad.
He was great in Noises Off.
I got to say, one of my favorite roles, and he's actually a really great comedic actor, is in the film version of Noises Off. He's fucking hilarious in it.
There you go. I do want to see the original fuck, now I've just lost the name. The Russian one, the Russian movie.
There's a Russian movie?
Shit, it's about a Russian character.
Oh.
It's not in Russian. It's
I'm going back through all of his stuff.
God, Dr. Zhivago.
Oh, right.
I want to go and see that original 80s one because he looked so good in that. But they talk about like his friendships as well. He was roommates with Robin Williams, and they kind of grew up together. And he was like, "I'm gonna do theater," and that's where he started. And then he found out about the audition for Superman and went for that, and of course got it. There was a lot of audition processes with like more well-known actors at the time, but they're like, "What if we went with an unknown?" And then it was very successful. They talked about his personal life with his first partner, Gay Exton, with whom he had 2 children. They never married, and they did kind of touch on that he may have preferred not being married because of the status it gave him,
right,
to be unattached. And then they did separate, and then he kind of like became the man about town. But then he met his wife Dana, and they had a child, Will, together. And then I think Will was 3 years old when he had his accident. So then they talked about the accident and his rehabilitation. And of course, they touched on in the trailer there that he did go through the thought process of asking to be let go because it was full quadriplegia. So that meant he would be a complete burden on his family for the rest of his life. And also there wasn't a great chance, like a good survival rate on it either, because it was quite serious. He was in a coma for a while too. So yeah, quite a difficult process for his family to go through. But then his wife said, "Look, you're still you, and I love you no matter what. And, you know, I'm going to stick by you and help you through this." And then she's like, "I would prefer it if you didn't decide to end your life." And so that's what kept him going.
Yeah, right. That's, I mean, it's nice to hear that it is a story of love.
Yeah.
Because I think not that long ago we did the story of the boy who lived, the stunt.
The stunt guy from the Harry Potter films. Yeah.
Yeah, and that one was also, you know, it was an uplifting kind of thing, but there was also a distinct sense of like, this is hard and, you know, not always the most uplifting, you know.
No, I mean, they spoke about the struggles of dealing with his disability, in that the cost of having a 24-hour nurse, and that, you know, they couldn't sustain the cost of that. They also talked about the foundation that they set up for helping people with spinal cord injuries and the amount of research that went into stem cell recovery. There was quite a lot of backlash from the disabled community about his research with stem cell because they were like, there's nothing to fix. We're still people and we still exist. But at the same time, I don't think it was ableist of him to want to help people recover, to stop them from being a burden for their families and their loved ones if there was an opportunity for recovery and for a cure for spinal cord injury. So, yeah, there was a bit of debate on that as well, which I found quite interesting. And he actually started to regain movement in the final years of his life, which I found was quite fascinating. I don't think I knew that. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the amount of treatments, and they just kept up with physiotherapy so that like his muscles wouldn't completely atrophy. And yeah, he did start to regain movement in his fingers and like a little bit of mobility in his legs that he was able to do, like aquatic physiotherapy and that kind of stuff. So that was super interesting.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But then there was like the really tragic part of him succumbing to a virus. It was an infection that he had that he couldn't recover from, and that's what ultimately ended his life in his 50s. And then not long after that was when his wife Dana discovered that she actually had stage 4 terminal cancer.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, because unfortunately she was just so preoccupied with looking after him and their son that she missed any signs of cancer. And then she didn't last much longer after that. And that was when I absolutely bawled my eyes out. And thank God I had tissues because I lost it.
I'm not surprised.
It was so tragic.
That's really heartbreaking.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting the quick Cliff Notes versions, but I think my question to Jill is like, at the end of it, was it an uplifting story about the person who played Superman, and did he embody the qualities of the character that he played, and was it presented that way? And that's
at the end of it, he did lead such a heroic life. I mean, everybody is human. They have their faults and their flaws and their positive notes. I think what really shone with Christopher Reeve was the strides that he made in research on spinal cord injury and his attempts to better the lives of people that unfortunately were struck with those kinds of injuries and quadriplegia and paraplegia and the like. And I think ultimately the touches that he made on people's lives were so important, and that was really the most heroic part of his life.
I think there's a lot to be said for just continuing to live, because you are an icon. Like if you've been a hero, sorry, I've gotten way more emotional about this than I expected to.
You're allowed to be emotional. This is kind of one of those things. He probably would like that. And like everyone grew up with well, especially roughly our age, slow, getting on there, which is going like, who's Superman? It's like, oh, it's Christopher Reeve, and then Henry Cavill, and then the next one, and then the TV ones.
Well, yeah.
I mean, who's who? I mean, no offense to Brandon, but no one's out there going like, Brandon Routh is my Superman. End of story.
I don't know. There's a bunch of people
movie.
I didn't mind that movie, and I quite liked him in some of the TV stuff. I loved him when he was Kingdom Come Superman.
Yeah, there's nothing against that. There's only, but one of the interesting things I think too is there's only been a few Supermen, and Christopher Reeve is definitely up there on it, even though some of his films are quite terrible.
Yes. Yeah, I think the image of him continuing to survive and live was really important, because a lot of people who have injuries do have that question, is it better for me to not be here? And it's good to lead by example, I had I had a really awkward conversation with somebody once, and it's where I should have realized that the relationship was not good. I had a relationship with a person, not sexual, whatever, a friendship, working relationship with a person who said at one point, who we were discussing who would be going to heaven and who would be going to hell. And
just
and we thought
water cooler talk.
Yeah, well, when it's somebody who's a born again Christian, sometimes that is water cooler talk.
Fraught with danger.
And Dion, you've gone real quiet.
Oh, sorry, I said fraught with danger.
Yes. And I was like, I think the one that we could all probably agree on is, I'm pretty sure Christopher Reeve's going to heaven. And this person said, no, he killed babies. And I was like,
Christians have a difficult time with stem cell research. I mean, when that was quite prevalent in the 90s, when, Christopher Reeve was going through this very public research, that was a huge heated topic of discussion. We're not killing babies to do stem cell research. That's not
No.
how it works.
No. We're not out there just grinding babies just to get the baby juice to make the stem cells.
Yeah.
Not how it works. But unfortunately, there's a lot of people that will not be told that and will not believe that. Yeah. And, you know, having somebody championing that kind of research is really important because it's the kind of thing that a lot of people are living in hope for. You know, I'm talking to a friend the other day who is in desperate need of getting a knee replacement, but was saying, I'm kind of banking on them stem cells. Like I'm really waiting on that research because I feel like that's going to hopefully do more.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you've got somebody like Christopher Reeve who's pushing for that, that's a good thing.
Yeah. I would say the only downside of this documentary is that it was very biographical heavy. And I was looking for more information about his foundation and the research that they were doing. And I know it's a story about Christopher Reeve, but I would have liked to explore that a little bit more. So maybe I just need to go and seek out some information about, stem cell research and spinal cord injury research and that kind of stuff. So that's the only thing that I felt was lacking that I could have done with a little bit more information about that part of his life. But otherwise, it was a really interesting delve into his this personality.
Nice. Would you rate it? Do you have a numerical number?
I don't know how to rate something that's,
I mean, to be honest, you don't have to.
Yeah, I would maybe give it like a 75. I think like the style of the documentary, I prefer something that's a little bit more linear, less jumping back and forth. The interviews with his family and friends were really nice. There was a lot of old footage of interviews with him that was great, like before his accident and post accident as well. So it was great to be able to hear from him throughout, like the telling of his life too. So yeah, it was good.
There's a part of me that's terrified that a bad interview is going to come out with him one day where it turns out he was actually an asshole. Like, because every interview I've ever seen of him seems to be like really embodying the idea of heroism. And, you know, even though we all know he wasn't Superman.
Yeah, they didn't shy away from like his misgivings either. Like, you know, his first relationship that fell apart, and you know, his want to go and fraternize with other women after that falling apart of a relationship. So I mean, he wasn't entirely perfect, who is, but I don't think he was there was a mean bone in his body, to be honest.
Yeah, that's certainly an impression I got. Excellent. Well, it's still in cinemas. You can find it. But
hopefully it'll be out on streaming soon.
Yeah, you'll probably have to go at about 10 o'clock in the morning to a palace.
Look, I mean, if you want to go and watch it in the cinema,
that's what I did.
Yeah,
go and watch it in a cinema, or if you like to ugly cry at home, just wait for a little bit and then get it on the streaming service of your provider.
Definitely take your tissues.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking that I'm going to be ready for an ugly cry.
Yeah.
I almost had one here.
Yeah. I mean, and also, you know, we want you want one of those. It's a good story about good people is an interesting thing. Speaking.
And also, it was nice hearing from the director, Richard Donner. You know, there's a part of me that always loves hearing about how, you know, people got cast and all that kind of stuff. And I love seeing, I think it's one of the earliest test shots like they did with him, where you just, he's wearing a shitty suit, he's sweaty as hell under the armpits.
Yeah,
like
they literally put boot polish in his hair.
And the dude still, you just go, yep, that's dude, that's Superman.
Still Superman.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Gotta love it.
Right. So whilst Jill is the best of us,
yes,
by far,
200% Jill.
going up and away and flying high.
You can crack a beer and light a cigarette, Jill. You're done
Excellent.
for today.
You can tell me about the movies that I missed.
Exactly.
Oh
The
yeah.
ones that I really wanted to see but had to fucking work.
Really.
Yeah.
Like, you did the homework. We did other homework.
The
We
fun
did
stuff.
other things.
Oh, there's elements of fun, and then there's some stuff that we don't need to talk about.
Tell me.
Oh, sounds like Quinny, you have something to say about the film that you got to go see recently.
Yeah. Do you want me to launch into it? Do we have a trailer for it?
Yeah. Do you want me to I can play the trailer and then we can come back and talk about it? How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea to me.
So this one will do the film that Quinny saw. So please enjoy Night Bitch. Terrible title, but not as what you think. Anyway, we'll come back in a second.
Yeah.
He's super cute. Do you just love getting to be home with him all the time?
Yeah, I do. I love it. You're an artist, right?
Well, I used to be.
Wow.
But that feels like a lifetime ago. So
Yeah,
totally.
definitely. We get it.
I used to be a stripper.
The before times. Yes.
Nobody in this family can clean their own butts.
No. Oh, that's okay.
If you wake him up, I will rip your throat out.
Okay, for what it's worth. I would kill to stay home with him every day.
Mama fuzzy. I'm not fuzzy.
I just feel off. Look at my teeth. See how sharp they are?
It's a little bit weird.
Motherhood, it changes you. It connects you to some primal urges.
I feel like I'm stuck.
Make up a plan, draw up a schedule. Happiness is a choice. Happiness is a choice.
I'll try. I'm never going to be smart, happy, or thin ever again. Oh, and I'm pretty sure I'm turning into a dog.
You're so funny.
Do you ever feel like the big secret is that we are gods? We fucking create life. We are so powerful.
What the fuck?
I could crush a walnut with my vagina. I am a woman. I am an animal. I am Night Bitch.
You're so dirty. Where did you go?
I am her run.
Okay, so Night Bitch, which is one of those phrases that you say out loud and it sounds real awkward. This is a new film from Amy Adams. So she's one of the producers, and you can tell fairly clearly that she's the one driving the bus on this.
Okay.
This is something that she wanted to make, and I'm not sure whether or not my guess is she read the book. So it is based on a book by Rachel Yoder, Yoder, not Yoda.
Oh, damn!
Because it'd be a real weird book if it was written by Rachel
I lost
Yoder.
interest immediately. I'm like,
Dog in the middle of the night she is.
What? Not where I thought this review was going, but all right, I'll allow
Oh,
it.
we're here now.
Yeah, okay.
So I saw this one as the closing night thing for South by Southwest and their film stream. And before I say anything else, and I'm gonna just make a little old man rant complainy pants. I quite like that South by Southwest is a thing and it has a big film stream, and that's really cool. I wish to Christ they would start their films on time. So you get this is no first world problems, 100% aware of that. But you're given a time that says arrive between 6:30 and 7:30. The movie will start at 7:30, so that's later than the average screening anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Neither of the screenings we went to started before 5 to 8. At which point in time the host walked out on the stage and went, "Oh, hi," and then talked about the film for another 5 minutes. Or in the case of one of the other ones we watched, talked about the film for 5 minutes and then interviewed the director for 20.
Badly. Anyway.
Yeah. So,
just a note.
Look,
if you have an advertised start time, start at that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It tends to put people offside about your film. If you're sitting there waiting and going, come on.
Also, people have lives.
Yes. Yeah, the movie starts at 7:30. Jesus, that's a late one. Okay. And yeah. So anyway, that's my bitch out of the way. My night bitch.
Your night bitch.
Yeah.
Because I'm old Father Time. So the film is very much a sort of realist kind of thing, but it's doing a weird double header with a fable kind of story where it's about a woman who is, as we saw in the trailer, dealing with being a mother to a young child and having a mostly or at least partially absent partner. So I don't know whether you've got any music down. I'll do a real quick synopsis.
I have the Superman music.
I'll just do the synopsis without the Superman.
Yeah, if you want to, sure, go right ahead.
Okay. So an artist who pauses her career to be a stay-at-home mum seeks a new chapter in her life, and encounters just that when her nightly routine takes a surreal turn and her maternal instincts begin to manifest in canine form. So, is it a werewolf-style movie about a mum who becomes a werewolf? No. Is it a story about a mum who is dealing with potentially postnatal depression? But I don't think that's the key of what's going on here. It's a weird, semi-surrealist story about a woman who is dealing with motherhood and also maybe becoming a dog, and not a wolf, a dog. And that's kind of where you're at.
You're not selling me.
The really annoying thing about it is it's actually very funny. It's quite subversive here and there. It's like, I can totally see why Amy Adams wanted to go for this, because this is a great role for her at this time in her life. It's, very honest. It's almost entirely, no frills. Like, I don't think she wears anything but track pants and like loose clothes, and she's got a post-baby body, and she's, as gorgeous as Amy Adams is, but there's no makeup. Well, I mean, there's makeup, but there's no overt makeup. She's not looking like Giselle or whatever from whatchamacallit. It's kind of ugly, and there's vomit, and there's shit, and there's being covered in dirt and cleaning up baby shit and having to wipe everybody's ass. And it's a dirty movie that is full of the really not fun parts about motherhood. Skeet Ulrich, isn't it? I think.
So you're telling me that this is not a superhero origin story?
No, it's not Skeet Ulrich. It's Scoot McNairy. Sorry.
Very different person.
Very different person. Very simple name, though.
I'm sure that's Mandy Patinkin. And that is a deep cut for Quinny from a long time ago.
Scoot McNairy, who we just saw not that long ago in Speak No Evil. That was Speak
Yes.
No Evil. Yes, good.
Yes. Yeah.
And
just being another insipid man.
100%.
Love
like
it.
I was watching it. Ardella was sitting next to me, and she was quite loudly saying, "If he was my husband, I would kill him." Like, he has done nothing to prove that he is worthy of being alive.
Wow.
He is an incredibly annoying idiot dude who, his wife. There's a prime example where he says to Amy Adams' character, he's like, they don't have names, by the way. They are just mother, husband, son.
Okay.
So just everybody else gets
Self-insert.
names. Yep. but yeah, he says, "Oh look, I'll bath the baby for you," and she's like, "Oh, thank God, thank you, yes, great." He goes to bath the baby. She lies down on the couch for the first time because she's been, also she spends most of the week by herself. So he goes away for 4 days at a time for work.
Okay.
And she's at home alone with the bub. And so she's like, oh God. And then 2 minutes later, it's like, honey, where's the towels? Honey, baby wants some milk. Can you get some milk? Honey, where do I do? And so, within minutes, there is no, like, he is absolutely typical, kind of useless dude. Which
So
is
she's a
annoying.
mother to 2 children.
100%. And so that's very, very down to earth. That's all very much just like her dealing with annoying partner and everything. An occasional flash crosses of her doing something ridiculous, slapping people, screaming at people, swearing, and then Ally McBeal style cut back and nothing happened. It's the internal monologue made external.
Yeah.
But then some weird stuff starts happening, and like she starts making friends with more dogs, and the baby starts like, "Hey, mummy, you're hairy," and she's like, "Well, that," but then it's like, "Oh no, she has a tuft of hair," and maybe there's a tail growing, and then in one shot, maybe she has 8 nipples. We don't know. So
sounds like a superhero origin story to me, and I'm confused about where this is going. But
I can't wait for issue 2 of Night Bitch,
the sequel.
But yeah,
Night Bitches.
But there's this weird secondary story which is about her upbringing, and it's almost like a Amish kind of upbringing, like very, anti technology, old school butter churning, Amish. And her mother is kind of, it's assumed that she's going through the same thing of going off into the night and being a dog. So you're like, okay, is this and the whole thing is like, is it a metaphor, or is it surrealism, or is it kind of a joke? And it's quite funny, and it's quite likable.
What do you feel the movie was trying to say to the audience, Quinny? You watched it. You have watched a lot of movies.
I've watched a lot of movies.
You might be able to interpret something from all this.
What I found deeply annoying was that anything that it's saying is said really nicely in the first, 3/4 of the film. Like, yes, being a mum's very difficult, but at the same time, being a mother is also amazing because you are a god and you bring life into this world, and at the same time you're also cleaning up people's shit. And it's that, like, it felt like so many elements of that speech from Barbie again, where you've got to be sexy, but you've got to be hardworking, you got to do everything, carry the baby.
It's just the motherhood version.
It is. And it's kind of, mums are superpowers, but then there's this undercurrent, which is there is rage. Being a woman, and especially being a mother, is actually as much about rage and fury and indignation, and your body has been torn apart, and you are, suddenly being predated upon by all of these things. So there's all these really interesting things that it's trying to say.
Okay.
And then there's a point where and I was like, I'm on board with this. Yeah, fair enough. Like, I think this is doing quite a good job. And then at the end, it just fucking loses its bottle entirely.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not going to say how. I don't want to do any spoilery stuff, because I know Tari in the chat was very keen for this and thought that this may be really good. But quite literally, the movie about turning into a dog loses its teeth.
Okay.
Yeah. I was just like, fucking hell. Because it was...
I can kind of get on board with the concept of the movie. And I think that probably the intended audience is women with intentions to have children or that already do have children. But I don't participate in that form of womanhood, so I don't think that this movie is for me.
No, I
As
mean,
much as I can like relate to the rage over incompetent people in your life, I don't think this is going to be enough for me to watch the movie.
no. Like they were so excited that they've got this screening, and they were like, "This is possibly going to be the only screening of this film in Australia." And I'm like,
Oh no.
"Yeah," and direct to video it goes. There's nothing about it that screams it has to be seen on a big screen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. It has a female director who also did "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood," which is a great. Yeah, so it's interesting. Just yeah,
like it's well made. There's nothing wrong with it, apart from its kind of failure at it as an ending, where it just loses its entire oomph. But also, there is something in there that I didn't necessarily pick up immediately, but the more I thought about it afterwards, I was like, it's about white middle class privilege, and there is a massive amount of middle class privilege on display here. Where they live, like this beautiful house in the beautiful suburbs where they can go to a beautiful park within 3 minutes walk, and it's always sunny and it's always beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about motherhood being difficult, why not talk about it being difficult for low-income families? Because that's where the true difficulty would lie. Like, yeah, she's got a shit husband, but she's got money that can support her to get through raising a child.
And at the point where she decides that she's had enough of the husband, slight spoiler, at one point she decides that she's had enough and they're going to separate. He's going to go, he goes, lives in an apartment, and then is looking after the kid for, I'm assuming, half the week. It's not actually stated what their split is. And nobody asked the question of how is she paying for the mortgage? Is she paying for the mortgage? Do they have a mortgage? Is this, just a beautiful world where nobody has to pay mortgages? And she can go back to her pre-baby career of having an art career. Because at one point she goes into the city, which is a long drive from the suburbs, to meet her friends who are all these avant-garde artists, and realizes that she has nothing to say to them anymore because she's
art, the notoriously affluent career.
Absolutely. And it's because she puts on an amazing show that the husband, who has been, away for 6 months or whatever, and separated, realizes that she is amazing. I'm in awe of you.
You have definitely turned me off the movie now.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I it's so close to being a really good film that just fucking veers into a car crash of schmaltz and shit towards not shit, just schmaltz. And does it all through the incredibly privileged lens of the American suburb, but very affluent suburbs. Very affluent.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm effluent, Kim.
Yeah.
Very affluent.
Very affluent.
Very
so
affluent.
For me, it's two different ratings, but like the first 2/3 of the film, I'd give it an 80. This is the last half of the film, I'd give it a 30.
Yeah, right.
Like it's such a shitty
bit of a dog.
So yeah, I'm gonna go 62 as a random number.
62
in the middle.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let's go. I saw one, so I'll chip my head in for the last little quick one. We'll do a quick trailer and we'll come back and talk very briefly about it before we head off. Hang on a second. Enjoy this.
I was born determined. I was good at drinking, having sex, and taking pictures.
And I did all three as much as I could.
Not everyone can believe this. Surely they can see what he is.
The question is, what are you going to do, Lee Miller?
Europe was at war, and I felt useless.
I hear you're the woman to see about a job.
I am.
We don't hire older models.
I'm not a model anymore. I'd rather take a picture than be one.
It's just so creative.
Send me to Europe. I just want to do my part. I'm with Vogue magazine.
There's no women allowed in the press briefing.
You've got to be kidding me.
We don't send women to combat.
Well, that's a problem, because I'm here. Why should the men get to decide? I'm heading to the front.
That's not what I thought you were gonna say.
Ready to go?
Leave her alone!
Bad things do happen to some of us girls.
You have secrets. Many that you'll never share.
Stop, stop, stop! Who cares? Nobody saw them. You didn't print them. I fought for them, Lee!
Not hard enough.
Go.
Even when I wanted to look away, I knew I couldn't.
There are different kinds of wounds. Not just the ones you can see.
Yeah, okay, so this is a very different tonal choice.
I saw this trailer last week and I thought,
Yeah.
oh, I want to see that movie.
And I was very lucky to get to go to a special screening of it. So this film came out in 2023. So
Oh.
yeah, like this
Oh,
was
really?
originally premiered in 2023 and at like Toronto Film Festival, and then it has subsequently done a lot of other stuff. It hasn't had a distributor, so this is why people hasn't seen it. You've seen it at film festivals, but it hasn't actually been released. And it is, I think, now available via streaming, so you can go and watch it. Out there, but I was lucky enough to be able to go to the Hayden Orpheum over in the north side. Yeah, beautiful, and got the whole full treatment. Which is, if you don't know, if you've never been to the Hayden Orpheum over on the North Shore of Sydney, they have an organ that comes up out of the floor and can play the music like beforehand, so it gives you time. So if you hear the organ going, you know the movie's going to start soon. So they did the whole thing. It was great. Because it also had a Q&A, or not actually a Q&A, just more of an interview with Kate Winslet afterwards.
Nice.
Who was here promoting it?
There?
Yeah, she was there at the end. Like we watched the film and then they came out and did like
That's cool.
a thing there, which was
So
really.
they did it after the movie.
They did it
so you
after
could
the
escape
movie.
if you wanted to.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Yeah. I saw Richard.
Who would have thought?
I saw Richard Wilkins in the audience. And that's why Lee is the best film of this year, hands down, 400 out of 10. Yeah,
Cool.
and thanks for the stream, everyone. No,
Thanks, guys. So
thanks for
good.
that.
We'll see
Really
you next
appreciate
week.
it.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Wow.
Yeah. Literally, blue screen of death. What were we talking about? We were talking about how cool the Hayden Orpheum is. So obviously, all the other cinemas got around and killed the
Yeah.
stream.
Denial of service.
The denial, yeah. DDoS attack. Anyway, yeah, it was a nice thing. They did it right. They showed the film, and then you got to talk about it. But this one was a really interesting topic that I hadn't known about, and it succeeded really well in one way, which made me want to learn more about Lee Miller. So I think it did a very good job in the production of it. And this is also an independent production. So this is another passion project from a lead actor. So this is Kate Winslet's passion project, who has gone on board there. And it's about Lee Miller, who used to be, prior to World War II, she was a photographer and a model. And then during World War II, she was a war photographer going to document everything. And then after she had a whole other career, so she had 3 points of her life. And what was really interesting is that not a lot of people knew about Lee Miller during World War II. Like, her photos were published, but people didn't know who she was. And it wasn't until after her passing and her family found the thousands of recorded photos that they discovered, because she'd never talked about it. So with her family, she never discussed it. And they had no idea. So, this film focuses pretty much solely on the war period and discusses her work. How did she get involved with, doing this, and how did she get there? And it was interesting how she did it, because she originally started taking photos for British Vogue over there, and then they wouldn't send her to the combat side of it over in Europe. And then because she was an American, so she applied basically joined the American military, and they had no problem sending a woman over there. So she went through the Condé Nast publication thing, and she still took photos for British Vogue, but she as an American instead of a European. So yeah, look, it's a really good, like, there's been a lot of interesting stories about women recently, and this one is really good because it's a fictional biopic of a very small amount of time. And it does, Kate Winslet does a really good job of being portrayed as not a flawless woman. Like, they never present Lee Miller as a great person. You know, she was well known as a pretty much raging alcoholic. You know, that bit at the start of the trailer that we had, which was like, oh, you know, I want to, drink and have sex and do all that. That's kind of how she was. She was a bit of a free spirit, like, doing that stuff. But she also had incredible compassion and the unrelenting kind of gaze of being able to take photos of some terrible, terrible things by understanding that she needed to document stuff. So it portrayed that really well. And it reminded me a lot of Alex Garland's Civil War.
Right.
Where, what was that name? Who was the...
Kirsten Dunst's character.
Thank you. It felt a lot like Kirsten Dunst's character was based on Lee Miller.
Okay.
Right.
And now you've got Kate Winslet playing Lee Miller. It was really, it's a really good kind of interesting way of doing it too. And she was famous for her photographs for not taking photos of the aggrandized stuff that you sort of see. Like, it wasn't really a lot of combat. It wasn't really a lot of, the stuff that you think about. It was more like the day to day. What are people doing? What are the women doing? What are the families doing? What are the old people doing? What's the results of this stuff? What happens in the medical tents? Like, she was taking photos as a documentarian rather than as a publicist, and it gave it a very interesting eye on it, and it's a really important historical document. So the film is really about that, and it's a good film, and it just succeeded really well, which is like, hey, I want to know who Lee Miller is.
Nice.
Yeah.
You can look at some of her photography at leemiller.co.uk.
Yeah.
She's got it's the Lee Miller archives.
Yeah.
And of course you'll be able to find a heap of her photography all around the internet.
Yeah. And just the strange thing, I mean, also her son was there.
Oh, right. At the screening.
Yeah. So he's one of the producers of the film too, and he got it made. Wow. So her actual son is sort of sitting going, yeah, so this is my mother. I didn't really know her that well. And then I found all of this when she died. And it's like, yeah.
Oh, that'd be a lot, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it is. And it's really, they did such a good job with the shooting of it, because basically as they were explaining in the interview afterwards, is you have that frame of the decision that a photographer has taken to frame a photo a certain way. But what they tried to do in the film was reconstruct how they got to that frame. So, there's a famous one of taking photos of inside one of the trains to the concentration camps and shooting out of it. So that meant that she would have had to actually get up into the carriage full of dead bodies and shoot back out. And so how did that process go through? So like there's a lot of that kind of thing. And in the end, in the credits, it has like all of that, all the actual frames of the photos, and then you kind of realize you've been watching them recreate it. So it's really, it's a good film. Like, not great. Like pacing's a bit off occasionally, and it is a constructed narrative because it's all done through interviews or talking to people or letter reconstruction. So they never got to interview Lee, but they had to piece it together from a bunch of different people's ideas of that person.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
That still sounds good. I still want to see
Yeah,
that.
really, really interesting and different take on the Second World War that was surprisingly just way more interesting than I thought. I was like, oh, okay, sure, I'll go watch this sort of little passion project. But you realize, actually, it's a really interesting story. And I thought it was really good.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Just looking at some of the photos and so forth, and yeah, there are some pretty striking images, but it's telling in the archive that there's a bunch of like 40-something photos from the 1920s, 800 from the 1930s, 2,373 from the 1940s.
Yeah, and that was just that war period.
Yeah.
And it's hilarious because, finding a bit more about her, she had 3 careers. One pre-war, she was a model and a muse for a lot of the surrealist artists that are around there. Then during the war, she was a war photographer. And then after the war, she was a fashion photographer.
Oh.
Like 3 different lives.
Mm.
And this one's, quite interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, just looking back at the chat, Predicangus saying I still haven't watched Civil War. It's a good film. I actually thought it was a really enjoyable film. So
would you give a rating for this one, Dion?
Yeah, look, I think just because of the context of the subject matter, it's really important. So I'd give it like an 80, 85 maybe. Yeah. And also because it's kind of honest. It wasn't kind of doing it like making up a story about how amazing this person was. It was like, this is Lee Miller. She was a bit of a train wreck, but she took some of the most important documentarian style photographs of the Second World War that are still archived today are really important, like bearing witness to a lot of stuff. So it was good. There you go. Sorry I didn't watch Superman. I feel like I needed a bit. Yeah.
I'm in the same boat. I really like, we've both watched other things, so we've had things to talk about, but at the same time, I think I really would have liked to have watched Superman.
Yeah. Yeah, but Jill did, and she's better than all of us.
She is the best of us.
I don't know about that.
Jill
We've
is
got
the best of us.
Halloween episode next week, and I haven't watched anything scary this month.
Oh, no.
Work has been eating my ass, and and not in a good way. Like, I don't know when I'm going to find time to watch anything spooky before next week.
I mean, you could watch some of the election coverage. That'll do it.
Oh.
I mean, I still haven't seen Terrifier 3, so...
Oh,
oh, no, thank you.
In the middle of the week, we did go and watch Smile 2. So, yeah.
Dude.
Once again, thanks South by Southwest.
Yeah, look, having not seen Smile 1, bit of a learning curve, but that's okay.
Yeah, I thought it was probably going to be very much its own story, completely divorced. And then the movie starts as like 6 days later. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, we'll release a list of the Shah Spookery that we are putting together for next week.
We got some
Beetlejuice, some Smile too. Probably I want to talk about The First Omen because I thought that was a pretty good one. There's also like Salem's Lot.
Oh yeah, that's right. I do want to watch that. I love that book.
Yeah. So there's a couple of things that are out there we'll talk about.
Netflix have a whole playlist of spooky stuff at the moment, so I might just browse through there and see if there's something new I haven't seen.
I saw a trailer today for a film coming out that is the new Goosebumps film.
They were bad.
Yeah, well, and the most terrifying thing about it was very middle-aged David Schwimmer. I just looked at that and just went, oh God. And especially because I think they've finally kind of caved into the truth of David Schwimmer is that he plays a psycho real fucking well. Like if you ever go back and watch Friends, if you've ever watched Friends and remove the laugh track.
Oh yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Ross is just a straight up psychopath.
Is that like Garfield without Garfield? Have you seen that cartoon?
Where John's just talking to.
Yeah, Jill, go get it. Like, that is a descent into madness.
Oh no.
They just removed Garfield out of all the frames, so it's like whenever John's talking to Garfield, they just remove it out, and you realize that it's just him dying.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of like just having a mental breakdown.
Jesus.
I know, right? Dark.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
There's heaps of other stuff. We will be coming back to you with all sorts of spooky, wonderful stuff. That's
to round out the month before Halloween on a weird Thursday this year. Damn it.
Yeah, who weens on a Thursday?
Who weens on a Thursday? I don't know. I'll put up a decoration. I'll be kid friendly. Someone can knock on my door and I'll throw candy at them and yell.
You're on the 5th floor.
Yeah, I know. That's strange. Strange for kids have never knocked on my door.
And if they do, you're like, you're serious about this, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm just like, maybe I'll just stand in my window and throw candy at kids in the park.
Okay.
And then yell Happy Halloween when someone looks.
So you just see Jill down the bottom
with a
going,
bowl
I'm
going.
gonna have a big bucket. I'm like, throw candy at me.
Just smack you in the head. It's like, ow!
Not
Why did you go hard?
Another.
Are you not entertained?
Oh, that's right. Gladiator 2 comes out. Oh, God.
Oh.
I forgot about all that. Are you not entertained?
Spooky.
Also,
that's definitely spooky.
Soon we might be running a little competition.
Yes, watch this space.
Watch this space for that.
Next month is the 70th anniversary of Gojira.
Yeah.
And we have some cheeky tickets to give away to a 4K screening of the original film.
And especially that is around Australia, isn't it?
It is.
More than just Sydney. So there you go. If you're around Australia, keep an eye out. We can do
That's from our friends at Sugo.
Yeah,
Sugoi. Sugoiko. Which is very exciting.
Yeah.
I'm just excited. I don't think I've ever actually seen the original 1954
No, me
Godzilla.
neither. Really looking forward to this 4K remaster.
Hopefully they update the soundtrack too with the Godzilla Zero.
I believe there's also going to be screenings of Godzilla -1 and also -1 color. So
interesting.
Yeah, that's very excited for that.
Apart from that, please drop us a rating. Do all these things. What is it? Send us an email, drop us a rating. Tell us what you want us to review. Or
if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the little bell, do the thing. I don't know.
That would be lovely. You know,
I'd say you'd sign up to our Patreon, but we don't have one.
We don't have a Patreon, but you can check us a Ko-Fi, can't you? Yeah. Is it Ko-Fi? I don't know. Ko-Fi, Ko-fi.
Coffee. I don't know.
If you have a buck, that's okay. If you don't have a buck, that's also okay. We're fine with that.
We love you nonetheless.
Yeah.
And I will, as suggested by the chat, or as agreed to by the chat, be making a new emote, which will be the Quinny's internet emote, which will probably just be a hamster wheel. Or
hey, that's the hamster wheel was my problem this time. Yeah, send us a Ko-Fi so that I can fix the computer in the middle of the street. What is going on with you? Anyway, yeah.
Lovely.
Should we go? Are you going to raid anyone, Quinny?
I'm just going to say who's around, who's to be raided. As I said before, they for some reason have changed the whole raid system, so it's not people that I know. Who's that? Barjo. You know what? Let's go and raid Barjo. Shall we do that?
Yeah, sure.
Go. Nice.
Bye.
Bye. Yep.